Alright, so in this video I just want to give you guys a couple of tips of how to answer one of the questions that's on the assignment that I have just posted to Blackboard. So the videos that have been added to the section on soils and mass wasting will provide you with the information you need to answer most of the questions that are on the quiz. But the last one addresses using Google Earth to make some measurements about two landslide locations. One is Earthquake Lake, which is in Wyoming. So you'll type that into the search bar here and it will fly you into Earthquake Lake. And so the location that you want to focus on is in the southwest portion of this lake. And you'll see that there's a landslide deposit down here. And so what you'll want to make note of is the distance and the slope of this source area from which the landslide happened. And there's actually a fault here that kind of runs through this area. That was one of the activity on that fault actually triggered this landslide. So you'll want to take a look at that. And then the way you actually measure the slope of this area and the distance is to make use of the path tool up here. So you're going to add path. And while this window is up, what you're going to do is draw onto your map what you want to actually measure. So I'm going to kind of draw down the source area, and I'll just leave it as untitled and I'll just click OK. And then after I've done that, I'll see it added to my places area over here. So this untitled path has been added. And if I right click on it, then I can go to Show Elevation Profile. And this is where I want to actually take a look at measuring the slope. And I'll have to do that kind of manually by looking at the elevation at the top and look at the distance down. So once I reach 500 meters, I've kind of reached the bottom of this source area, of this steep area. So I want to take a look at that distance that I've traveled, and I'm going to say 500 meters, the elevation has gone down to about 2,000 meters up from where it started at 2,271. So it's dropped about 250 meters over a distance of 500 meters. So if I take my calculator and I take 250 meters and divide it by the 500, that gives me a rise over the run. And let's make sure I did that right. So 250 meters over 500 meters gives me 0.5, or I could write that as 50% is the slope. Okay. So slopes can be written as a percentage. You're usually used to seeing slopes as in degrees, I'm sure, and you could make use of some trigonometry to do the rise over the run is equivalent to the tangent of the angle. So you need to do an inverse tangent in order to figure out what the angle of this slope is. So I took the rise over the run. If I take the inverse tangent of that, it will tell me the slope in degrees, which is in this case about 26.5. Okay, so you can do it in degrees or you can just write it as a percent. Okay, so I did this first one for you, but then the second one, what you're going to do is Lake San Cristobal in Colorado, and you'll search for that and you'll find another mass wasting deposit, and you'll want to be able to identify this mass wasting event. Try to, here it is on the north side of this lake. Okay, I'm using the W, S, and D keys to both pan and move around, and if I hold shift while pushing those keys, I can rotate my view and navigate that way. You can also do the same thing using the pan tool, the pan tool's over here, and the look tool over here to change your point of view. Okay, so here you're going to do the same thing. You're going to use the add path tool, draw a line from the source area up here down to the base, measure the length of the landslide and the slope, and do a comparison with the first site in terms of identifying what type of mass wasting event these two events are. All right, that will help you answer the question.